There have been many great innovations in roller coasters in the 2010s, but I don't think there's a bigger innovation in roller coasters than RMC taking old, busted, piece of crap wooden roller coasters and turning them into these steel masterpieces. And the first coaster to ever do that was New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas. So in this video, we're going to be reviewing that ride. This is a very historic coaster that used to be very, very popular with coaster enthusiasts, but as more RMCs have been built, it's kind of lost popularity. So how does this compare to the newer modern day RMCs, and does this ride still hold up as well as it did back in 2011? So you go up to ride this thing. The trains for the ride are pretty cool. They're like kind of a car theme with like bullhorns on the front. And something you'll notice that's different about the trains on New Texas Giant is that these are Gerstlauer trains and not the trains that RMC makes themselves. I like the Gerstlauer trains a lot better than the RMC trains. The RMC trains can be kind of uncomfortable, and it's pretty easy to get stapled with the RMC trains. So on a ride like, say, Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, rides like that, your lap bar is, well, it's easy for it to come down pretty tight on you. But these Gerstlauer trains, you can get a lot of room on them. So as a result, I prefer the Gerstlauer trains to the RMC trains. But after the incident that happened on New Texas Giant where a woman fell out, I don't think those Gerstlauer trains, I think that was the reason RMC started making their own trains. So anyways, starts off, you roll out of the station, you go around a quick turn, and you go up the lift hill. This is an RMC lift hill, so it's extremely loud. And then you head down the first drop. If you're sitting in the back, you're going to get some wicked ejector airtime on this drop. And it also picks up a lot of speed. And then you head up into this like little step up, and you get a serious pop of ejector airtime. Even in the back row, which is kind of interesting because the pop of airtime, you're only getting it like on the ascent. But so usually when you have an airtime moment like that, where it's not like a parabola, it just goes up, you really only get airtime at the front. And it is, this moment in particular is stronger in the front, but you still get really good airtime at the back. And then you head into this like 90-degree overbank turn, and it's pretty fun. Nothing too crazy. RMCs aren't the most intense rides in the world when it comes to laterals, but it is a lot of fun. And then you head into another one of those, and this one gives you some airtime as you pop out of it too if you're sitting in the back row, which is nice. Head into another overbank turn. Again, these things aren't super forceful, but they're a lot of fun. And you head into the best part of the ride, which is this little Airtime Hill. It's just a straight hill, great ejector airtime, that classic kind of RMC stuff. And you twist up into the mid-course brake run. And I've heard that recently the mid-course brake run isn't really hitting as hard, but when I did this, it hit the train pretty hard, and it really slowed down the ride in the second half. So then you head a curve drop to the ground. You get some more speed, but you've really lost a lot of your speed from the mid-course brake run. And that shows when you head up into this next airtime hill, and this does nothing. Like, there's no airtime on this hill at all. And you dip down, you go through a turn. It's kind of weird. You can tell that as newer RMCs were built, they kind of perfected their layouts. And you go through this banked airtime hill. This is cool. You get a little bit of airtime, not too much, but it just kind of, this element's really there to more look cool. You curve out, and the rest of the ride pretty much consists of bunny hops. It goes through some tunnels. The tunnels are pretty interesting. They've got like a lot of lights in them, and some of the hills are twisted. But overall, compared to some of the newer RMCs, you really don't get like great airtime on these hills, and the ride's going pretty slow through them a lot of the time. Again, that's the fault of the mid-course brake run. I imagine it would be a lot better if the mid-course brake run was not hitting very hard or was off. The last two hills before you hit the brakes are very strong. My overall thoughts on New Texas Giant are that while this is a phenomenal roller coaster, RMC has really improved since it was built. I would take most of the newer RMCs over New Texas Giant, except for maybe Joker at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. My deal with New Texas Giant is that one has an incredibly strong first half, with a great first drop, one insane moment of ejector airtime, and some fun overbank turns. The second half of the ride is rather lackluster. It goes pretty slowly through a lot of these, and several of the hills do not give any airtime at all, even though there are a few that do provide some great airtime. That being said, New Texas Giant is still a fantastic roller coaster. It's my favorite ride at Six Flags Over Texas, and it's something that if you're in Texas, you should definitely get a ride. So for my overall score, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Great ride, and if there were a few more improvements that were made on it, it would be a perfect ride. And there are perfect RMCs, and they're just built later. If we're talking prototype roller coasters, this is about as good as it gets.